Hey there. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I earned leadership trust before I had the project management title and why it is so crucial to do that in accelerating your career. I did this without certifications, without years of experience, and without waiting for permission, really. My goal was to catch the attention of leadership, show that I have earned the project manager title, and ultimately I landed a project manager role. My name's Chaz, and I run Project Management Directive, where early career professionals who are aspiring project managers come to learn real project management skills and leadership skills to accelerate their career and get paid more fast. I didn't start with a PM title. I didn't have everything figured out, but I went from being a doer to a leader in just under 3 years, and I did that by gaining trust of the leadership around me. And that trust is what unlocked opportunities, which ultimately led to the promotions that I was so gladly to accept. If you want to grow faster in your career and you don't want to wait for the 5 to 10 years of experience needed to do so, why don't you subscribe to the channel, join PM Directive, and we'll see you in there. Now let's get into it. Okay. For a long time, I believed I had to wait for the PM title before acting like a PM. And honestly, that's what I hear from most corporate environments. They tell you to stay in your lane, do your job, don't overstep, basically shut up and do your job. But here's what that did to me. I stayed stuck doing tasks instead of owning outcomes. I wasn't considered for bigger projects. Leadership saw me as helpful and not ready, and then doubting my abilities actually almost got me fired from my first project role within the first, I think, 4 months after I got hired. So that was fun, being brought into the boss's office, asking through the whole office space, so what do you do here? And through that, I built the trust of the leadership at that company and eventually got involved in more initiatives, started looking at bigger or higher visibility opportunities, and actually ultimately led to creating my own role within that company. That old mindset led to frustration and constant feeling of being overlooked. So if that sounds familiar, that's because this belief keeps a lot of smart people stuck longer than they actually need to be. New belief. So, like I said, what finally clicked for me was leadership doesn't trust you after the title. They give you the title after they trust you. Say that again. They don't trust you after the title. They give you the title after you've already proven their trust. Once I understood that, I stopped waiting and started showing trustworthiness first. Most people think trust comes from authority. What I learned is that authority comes from trust. So the old saying, respect is earned, not given. Leadership wants a safe hire. They want someone who's low maintenance, can handle what's in front of them, and they don't want to have to step in too often. When I was a manager, obviously, when I was hiring, I wanted to hire highly capable folks, trustworthy people, and people who I could trust to do the job and be self sufficient. Trust comes from ownership in your work, execution, and building the relationships within your company. There's a level of emotional intelligence that plays into this. You got to get people to like you, like working with you, and actually know that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. I started to do small things differently. Instead of asking, what do you want me to do? I say, hey, here's what I'm seeing. Here's my plan, and I'll update you at this time. Or I propose it as, here's what the problem is. Here are the three options I came up with. Here's the option I'm going to move forward with. Do you think that's the best route forward, or how would you like to proceed? When talking to my manager. No one told me to do that, but I tell you what, leaders noticed immediately and they ate that stuff up. It shows that you are thinking about it from a bigger perspective as opposed to just a small bubble in your own little world. You're thinking about it from like, what does this impact outside of my role? They see that you have problem solving skills. They see that you have an ability to execute on what you say you're going to do. And it shows that you actually care about your job. Sure, you might stumble, a couple times, but you learn and compound that experience to make better decisions the next at bat. So, I needed the reps. So what I did is I got as many reps as I can as fast as I could. That's, I take this analogy from sales. So they throw new sales reps into hundreds of cold calls right away because it sucks. But you know what? It builds those reps fast, and you learn to get over that, and you learn what works very, very quickly. You learn how to talk and sell. If leadership only trusts people with titles, how does anyone ever get their first opportunity? I remember applying for jobs years ago, and every job description on the project manager level was requiring 5 years of project management experience. You see it on every job description. And I remember being so frustrated talking to my wife saying, how does anybody get a PM job if every single PM requirement requires 5 years of project management experience? And so that's where this is all coming from, was that main frustration of applying for project management jobs. And instead of going outside of the organization, I looked internally to see how can I get a project management job with the current experience I have with the current company that I'm at. I did this by owning outcomes, not just tasks. And from this, I got looped into bigger conversations. I was asked for my opinions, and I was trusted with initiatives I definitely wasn't qualified for on paper. What that led to was a project management role, eventually into a management role. So I led a group of project managers, and from there, I was presenting on leadership calls with C-suite in there. I did that on multiple occasions. It was wild. So the trust factor, I see it work all over. I see it work inside Project Management Directive. So members who start sending proactive updates and closing loops publicly gets pulled into higher visibility work. And that's ultimately what we're after, is higher visibility work is how you build those relationships with leaders outside of your small group of people you work with day to day. Another member told me that their manager literally said, you already act like a PM. You do PM work. Let's get you that PM title that you have earned. So they went from no PM title to getting that PM title without the 5 years of experience that everyone looks for, every job description looks for. So then that's the goal here, is once you have that PM title, things get a lot easier down the road. So really, that's how high performers advance everywhere. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, tech, consulting, operations, construction. The goal here is to accelerate your career and then get that PM title, and then the title follows demonstrated ownership. So once you have that project management title, that's when you can start adding dollars to your salary. So again, trust is built through behavior, not just job titles. So you need to live it, breathe it every day. You need to execute diligently, follow up. You need to do what you say you're going to do in order to be trustworthy. You need to speak like a leader, and that's what I did in order to be noticed by leadership. So here we are, next steps. If you want to build leadership's trust without waiting for a promotion, here's what we need to do next. Subscribe to the channel. Break this down weekly, 7 different ways on how to accelerate your career. Grab my free guide on how to play the corporate game that's inside PM Directive, which is linked in the description. And then drop a comment. Tell me what role you're trying to get into. I promise you, I read every single comment. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Later.